Yes, Captain.
Thank
Where are you leading us today? Where's the trip?
Depends on what kind of wine you're serving me today.
It's still morning period.
Oh, okay.
Let's leave it for the afternoon.
Well, thank you guys. Great to be here. I'm Rahul Jagtiani, and I keep joking that I took the scenic route to crypto. So a few years ago, I was producing and hosting my own travel show, and I happened to be in the north of Europe, in Scandinavia, and I came across these guys who told me about Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. It was still early days, 2015, 2016. And at the time, I just dismissed it because I was like, okay, whatever, I'm too busy with my own travel series, traveling the world. And fast forward to a few years later, we had COVID. And I had fantastic plans for 2020, just like I'm sure all you guys did. And I found myself sitting at home, not being able to travel. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's go back to this Bitcoin thing. What the hell is that? And fortunately, I'd kept in touch with some of these guys, and they helped me go down the rabbit hole and really discover crypto, blockchain, Web3, and watched a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of blogs, and really started getting deep into this space. And finally, because of my media background, I picked up a position of consulting editor at a financial services platform called Money Control back in India, where I'm from. Money Control is essentially the digital arm of CNBC in India, and they got me on board to talk about travel, and also talk about emerging technologies like Web3 and blockchain. So I was like, okay, great. Both my passions and interests are now aligned, and let's see how Web3 technologies are integrating with the travel sector. So I want to keep things really simple, just so everybody can understand. The travel sector is really exciting. Arguably, it's one of the reasons we all go to work every morning, so we can save up some money and we can travel the world and come to beautiful places like Madeira as well. So I want to start off with two people, just like you and me, Bob and Alice. Bob is a 30-year-old young professional, likes to travel, working in any kind of different companies. You can call it a software company or just any one of those. And he's making about $70,000 a year, which is pretty standard for a 32-year-old. Depending on what part of the world you're living in, if you're living in New York City, it's not a whole lot of money. But if you're living in other parts of the world, or where I'm from, it's a decent amount. Now, Bob wants to come to India to see the Taj Mahal, right? That's a bucket list activity for a lot of people. And in a Web2 world, and things that you and I would generally do, Bob's going to check flights on Expedia and hotel bookings on Airbnb or Booking.com. He's also going to read reviews on TripAdvisor of other things to do when he's in India. And he's going to also check out the different loyalty programs he's a part of, and that's something that's personally very confusing to me. He's going to check out his credit card to see if he's eligible for any loyalty points. Maybe he's got an airline loyalty program or any other, Hilton points or something that he can utilize while he's in India. Typically, he's going to choose a time to go when he's got some vacation time, maybe December, or maybe during the summer. And it can be peak season, so he's going to look at non-refundable options to book a hotel and to also book his flights. And once that's done, he's going to apply for a visa. Now, a visa could vary from visa on arrival, which means you just show up and you get your passport stamped, or it could be a few days to maybe 20 days. For example, for me to come from India to Europe, it took me about 20 days, and I had to park my passport with the consulate. And I couldn't use that passport, obviously, to go anywhere else. And I also had to give them my 3 years income tax returns, 6 months bank statement, and really prove and beg that I'm going to come back to India and I'm not going to settle down in Madeira. So yeah, coming back to Bob, eventually his boss tells him, you know what, sorry mate, you got a lot of work to do, and we have this huge presentation for a client, and I'm sorry you cannot go, so you're going to have to cancel your trip. So Bob is not happy, and Bob eventually decides to cancel his trip. So all those non-refundable tickets, his hotel bookings have gone down the drain. He's lost his money and he's not very happy. Now this is Bob's journey as a traveler today in a Web 2 world. This is something that you and I can all identify with. Now let's quickly look at what Bob's journey could be in a Web 3 world. So Bob lists his hotel and airline bookings on a platform like BookTrips and TravelX. BookTrips is a hotel website where you can resell it's a platform where you can resell your hotel bookings. Similarly, TravelX is one where you can resell your airline tickets. And then Alice, who's in the same hometown, decides that, hey, you know what, I have some free time and I'd like to go to India as well. And she decides to go and she just makes a payment with her Web3 crypto wallet, and she's super happy. So she's like, okay, I'm going to get to the airport. I'm going to use my decentralized identity to check in. I'm going to land at Mumbai, or rather Delhi airport, and I'm going to use a decentralized Uber, known as Drive, to get to my hotel. And once I've checked into my hotel, well, wait, let me back up. I'm not just checking into my hotel. All I'm doing is I'm scanning a QR code, and I go directly to my hotel room. So there's no check-in process, giving you a passport, they're taking a photocopy of it, and wasting 10 or 15 minutes at the check-in counter. And then Alice decides to visit the Taj Mahal and other attractions with tickets bought from a platform like Yakuba that you guys are all familiar with. And every attraction she goes to, she collects a POAP, a proof of attendance protocol. And once she's done with the trip, she comes back home and she decides to share her hotel review on a platform called Trend and get a proof of stay NFT. That's again resting in her Web3 wallet. Now this may sound super futuristic to you guys and really complicated, but we'll get into each of these different things shortly. But this is basically what her journey would look like, hopefully in the not so distant future. So let's talk about the current state of travel, right? The current state of travel is a majority, 3 or 4 players, just like centralized technologies, just like Web 2 centralized technologies. We've got 3 or 4 players who are dominating the travel space. So that's Booking.com, that's Expedia, and there's hotel beds. And about $50 billion was paid to these intermediaries in 2023. Another fun fact is that 1.3 million reviews in 2022 were fake. So on TripAdvisor, and I think that's a bit of a typo there, apologies for that. So TripAdvisor has about 30 million reviews per year, and about 4% of those, or roughly 1.3 million, were fake, right? So that's not a good sign. The average American, and this is a McKinsey study, is part of 16.7 loyalty programs. And alluding to my point earlier, we all sign up for different loyalty programs across airlines, across hotels, aggregator sites, and you don't quite know which one you belong to, and you don't always end up utilizing them. And that helps these companies because we guys have opposing incentives, right? They make money when we actually don't use our loyalty points. And this is a common stat when you are making B2B payments across borders, that takes anywhere from 3 to 5 working days. And that's not even counting the agreements that 2 companies would have. So for example, a Lufthansa airline and an Expedia, they have a B2B relationship, and Expedia decides to pay Lufthansa perhaps after 30 days, but that transfer takes 3 to 5 days because it's done across borders. So this is the current state of travel. Again, let's look at the travel industry over the last 30 years. In the mid to late 90s, in the Web 1 phase, we had static websites. We had those 56 KB modems where if you use your phone line, if you use your phone line that's engaged, you can use the internet. If you use the internet, your phone line is engaged. And if you lose your internet connection every few minutes and it's slow and it's really like clunky. So that was 1995 odd, give or take a couple of years. We had limited booking functionality. And there was one-way communication, right? So there was no way for you to respond back to a hotel or communicate with a hotel or an airline. There was no social media. And the infrastructure was generally weak. It was still early days of the internet. People were afraid to put their credit card on the internet because they were getting hacked, much like people are afraid of Web3, crypto, blockchain today in many cases. And fast forward to Web 2, which is the scenario currently that we're living in, right from the mid-2000s. It was the rise of big tech, so Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. In 99, 2000, you had the Bitcoin boom and bust. And right after that, you had some of these 3 or 4 players that emerged and have done super well since then. And that's big tech. So if any of you guys bought any FANG stocks back in the day, I guess you're sitting pretty well. And we had mobile apps, we had social media, we had Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, all these review sites, TripAdvisor. And the level of personalization has been high, but there's also been a lot of data breaches, right? You may have heard of the data breaches with Meta in the recent past. And people are not happy with all their data and all their information being leaked. Even as we speak, Google, all these guys have all the information that, they know everything about you. They know when you're using Google Maps where you're going. They know where you checked into. You're taking a picture of your food and putting it up on your Instagram stories. They know what you're eating, which restaurant you're at. So they know everything about you. And fast forward to Web3, which hopefully is sooner rather than later. We're going to have cryptocurrency payments, which have already begun, resellability as a service, on-chain reviews, NFT-based loyalty programs, decentralized identity management, and data ownership. We're going to own our own data. And I'm going to get into some of these points in just a minute. So yeah, the current state of the crypto market. The cryptocurrency market cap as of, at the time of me making this presentation, which is just a few days ago, is roughly about $1.5 trillion. And almost half of that is attributed to Bitcoin. If Tom Cruise were to make Jerry Maguire today, or hopefully in the near future, he wouldn't say, "Show me the money," he would say, "Show me the crypto." And in fact, a Deloitte study states that a lot of these businesses that have incorporated crypto payments actually enjoy better and positive brand impression and increase in revenue as well. So what are some of the benefits of crypto payments, right? It's fast and secure transactions, especially with stable coins, minimal fees. If I have to send money to a travel agent overseas, it's again going to take 3 to 5 working days. It's going to cost me $50 in fees. Or if I'm paying via credit card, I'm paying 2 or 3%. And these intermediaries, they take a lot of the lion's share as well. And you're able to send money much easier if you've ever received stablecoin payments. You can get money on a Sunday afternoon for fractions of a penny in just a few seconds. So that definitely beats the 3 to 5 working days. And also, a lot of people want different options. The unbanked want different options. And those who are sitting on a lot of money with crypto in the past bull markets want that option to spend their money using the gains that they've made. So Travala.com and Concierge.io, they're a couple of the platforms that are solving this problem. Travala has in fact also tied up with various travel companies. So Booking.com and most recently Kayak, they have tied up. So someone can get onto Kayak or Expedia and get Travala.com's hotel inventory and start paying with crypto. And I believe Travala is soon going to activate that with airlines as well. So that's one of the latest developments, that Travala.com is also an OTA, which stands for Overseas Travel Agent, much like Booking.com, Expedia.com. And they're now tying up with these Web2 companies because Web2 companies are realizing the power of Web3 and crypto and blockchain. Now, the current state of the secondary ticket market, the global secondary ticket market is about 2.6 billion, and my friends at Yakuba probably have some insights on that as well. So NFT ticketing, resellability as a service, having a secondary marketplace to sell your bookings that are non-refundable or that you just want to trade. Now, resellability as a service, what does that mean? So you book a hotel room or an airline ticket, and you realize you cannot go, and instead of canceling that ticket, you are now able to resell that on a secondary marketplace like Book Trips, like Travala, and like some of these other guys like Sleep.io, Pingtara, Locktrip, and Winding Tree and Tachyon. Now, what are the benefits? Well, the benefits for the end consumer are pretty obvious. Everybody wants flexibility, so you want the option that, hey, you know what, I'm going on a trip, say 3 months from now, I've got a good deal now, but if I can't go, I can always resell it, possibly for a profit as well. So if I buy a hotel room for $100 a night, and closer to the date, I know that the ticket is that the hotel is going to be more expensive, I have the option to perhaps sell it at $110. But that depends on market dynamics, right? If it's peak season, you're likely to sell it at a profit. But if it's low season, or there's some sort of black swan event and you can't travel, and there's something that's happened in that particular town or city, then obviously you may have to offload it for a cheaper price. But that's got nothing to do with Web3. That's just market dynamics. And how does this help the hotels or the airlines? Just to give you a quick overview, today hotels are reliant on some of these big OTAs for between 40 to 60 and 70% of their business, which means if I'm a hotel, if I'm a 100-room hotel, I am relying on a booking.com for about half of my business. So 50 or 60% of the hotel rooms that I'm selling are through booking.com. They're taking a 30% cut, and maybe 20% is direct sales, and maybe 20% is MICE. Now, MICE stands for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. So events like these, weddings or any large conferences that take place, incentive trips that corporates organize for their employees or for their top salespeople, where they take maybe a couple of hundred people to different places around the world as an incentive. So that constitutes MICE travel, and usually hotels have separate teams targeting some of these corporate clients, and they deal with them directly. But still, 50% of my business is coming in through booking.com. Now, when it's on a blockchain, I have insight into at what price some of these intermediaries have bought my hotel inventory. So a booking.com or a hotel beds is picking up some inventory, but right now I have no oversight at what price they're selling it. And that's why you see things like, the Taj Mahal Hotel in New Delhi. So I'm not talking about Taj Mahal, the monument now, I'm talking about the Taj Mahal Hotel, and which is why you see different prices, 24,000 rupees, which is roughly about $300. Some of these are $250, about 18,000 rupees. So you see a different price parity depending on which website you book your hotel through. But what this does is it gives the hotel insight, and they can control at what price the middleman is selling their inventory at. And they also have better bargaining power. So what they could possibly do is go to one of these intermediaries and say, you know what, I sold you at 100, but you sold it ahead at 140. The next time, I'm going to raise my prices, and I'm going to sell it to you for 110. So it just gives them some sort of a bargaining power, and they also get oversight into how their inventory is being sold across different platforms. One of the things that I haven't mentioned here is the tokenization and the financialization of your asset here. So this hasn't happened yet, but this is just an idea. What a hotel property or what a travel agent could possibly do. A travel agent in their business, they need working capital, right? Every business needs some working capital. So what they can do is, let's say they've got $10,000 of hotel inventory that they've already bought. They can actually borrow against that, just like you do with Compound and Aave and some of these DeFi protocols. They're able to lock that in, stake that, and borrow some money against that to use, because they know for the next 6 months they're not going to be needing this inventory because it's for maybe the summer of 2024. So they're, instead of just locking up capital, they're now able to tokenize it and financialize it and borrow some money against that. So this is just one of the ideas that's been floating around. It's not happened yet, but hopefully that day is not too far. Coming back to fake reviews, that's another challenge, like I mentioned. And if you see some of these headlines, I'm not proud of the fact that India tops that list in a lot of these fake reviews for TripAdvisor. And sometimes it's the hotels playing dirty as well. So one hotel will play dirty against another hotel and plant a fake review when they know that it's peak season and they really want to get that business. There was a case where, in fact, somebody landed up at a certain hotel and realized that it was someone's home. It wasn't even a real hotel. It was someone's apartment. It was someone's private home. So there have been instances like that, unfortunately, because of the fake reviews. And the solution to that is proof of stay on-chain reviews. So it's a verifiable transaction on-chain where the identity of each guest is linked to their review and their date of stay, and they get a proof of stay NFT. So they get this badge in their wallet which proves their identity, that they're the ones who actually stayed in that property. And you can do this in the Web 2 world as well, but with the Web 3 world, you can do a few things better. You can have customized metrics. So I want to go stay at an Airbnb. I want to make sure it's pet friendly, it's sustainable, that they're not using too much plastic. And these are some of the metrics that people want to use, they care about now in this day and age. And you can do that, and you can customize your review based on certain parameters that the property really cares about, and get a time-stamped proof of NFT in your wallet. And the best part is right now when you post a review on a certain website, they own that data, right? But here you own that data using blockchain technology. You own the data, and you can decide to turn it off, just to keep it in simple terms. Another one, loyalty programs using NFTs. It's proof of attendance protocol. How many guys here have heard of POAPs? Okay, just a few hands. So this is what I like to call a digital version of a fridge magnet. So when you travel to different countries, a lot of people, what they do is they may pick up like a souvenir, like a fridge magnet, or maybe a shot glass with the Eiffel Tower, or maybe the Empire State Building. And it's a flex. You want to have that sitting on your bar or in your kitchen. You want to be able to tell people that, you know what, I went there and I collect shot glasses, and this is a shot glass from Paris, this is something from Madeira, this is something from New York. And that's what people do, right? So now a POAP is essentially a digital version of that, which it's a stamp that you can connect in your own wallet, collect in your own wallet. And the generations moving forward care more about their digital identity rather than their physical identity. That's why we see so many people putting their best photographs online. And this is becoming a thing now. In fact, a lot of crypto conferences already have POAPs, and you can just go scan a QR code and you can collect that POAP in your wallet. You can also gamify the experience with that, and brands like Travala are, in fact, using NFTs for their loyalty programs that gives them benefits beyond just that platform. So you can actually sell those loyalty points, those NFTs, on a secondary marketplace as well, in case you decide you can't use them. Le Bristol Hotel in Paris is unlocking exclusive experiences. This is a luxury hotel in Paris. And if you buy the NFT, and there's only a limited drop, what you can do is you have now access to some of their really exclusive experiences. Your wallet is whitelisted. You can get airdropped maybe an invitation, which could be a meal at a Michelin star restaurant, secret cocktail menus, access to their roofside pool, which is really, really exclusive apparently. So they're experimenting with this as well to unlock some exclusive experiences using NFTs. Now let's say, how could Madeira, the tourism board at Madeira use a POAP, right? So this is a really simplified example. Now Visit Madeira, all you guys are here, they want to promote certain activities and attractions. It could be a vineyard, it could be perhaps a botanical garden, maybe a tour of the old town, maybe a certain restaurant, and a visit to the cathedral, right? So they want you, who've all come to Madeira, to visit these attractions because that's what they want to promote. Now, they could have a program where they say, you know what, if we just go collect a POAP from each of these destinations, we're going to gamify this, so it's sort of like a treasure hunt. So you have to go to all these 5 or 6 different places, collect a POAP, which is as simple as scanning a QR code and having it in your wallet. And once you've done all 5 or 6 of these activities that we'd like you to do, you now have a free night stay at Barcelo Old Town Funchal, or perhaps you have an exclusive meal at a fancy restaurant in Madeira. So that's one of the ways, instead of relying on Web 2 technologies, they can directly engage with you and airdrop some of these incentives to you, to your wallet. And you also have now an NFT, which is a POAP in your wallet, so that's a digital flex, and you're now able to access, and once you've done all 5 or 6 of those experiences, it unlocks new incentives. And this is something for the future as well. They're able to engage with you in the future as well, maybe airdrop like a discount voucher or coupon in the near future. Now, all of us have used, in different forms, Booking.com, Uber. In India, you've got Make My Trip, which is similar to Expedia. And we all have different usernames and passwords for this, right? And it's confusing often that when I go to this website, I have this password, and I have, as do all of us on our phone, we probably have an app which has all these different passwords saved because it's really hard to remember. But what if you could just transport your identity across these platforms, maybe a sign-in with Ethereum, and you don't need to have all these 20 different passwords. And all these guys operate in a different silo, right? They have their own operating system, they've got their own database, and often these systems don't talk to each other. So with decentralized identity management, you're now able to transport your identity. You can control what part of your identity you want to share when you're at the airport, when you're maybe using an Uber, maybe when you're checking in at a hotel. You don't need to give them your entire data. You can only choose to give in the data that's applicable to them. And this is something that a company called Passive Bolt is